Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Grow with Inbound webinar series. I'm Matt, as you've seen from sort of the first webinar in the series, and today we're going to be looking at quick wins to B2B lead generation. I'm delighted to be able to welcome Reid to the webinar today. Thanks for joining us, Sean.
Pleasure to be here.
So Sean, I think just to perhaps kick things off, obviously, perhaps just a little bit of information maybe around where you're based, how long you've been with HubSpot, and sort of what your role is at HubSpot.
Yeah, sure. I'll open up with apologizing to everyone about what the headset and I'm wearing has done to my hair. It's been just really out of control. I'm in HubSpot for almost 4 years now. In 2 weeks' time, be my 4th-year anniversary here. I work on our customer success team as a CSM, so a customer success manager. My role basically means that I am helping customers post-sale to help them see the most out of using HubSpot from a strategic point of view. So I would do a lot of consulting time, putting in some strategies in place across a wide range of businesses. And for my own self, I'm particularly involved with the startup community and using HubSpot.
Awesome. And Sean, so today we're going to be talking obviously around sort of B2B lead generation, and hopefully some tips and quick wins and things that the guys can go away and implement sort of straight away. So lead generation as a topic, why is lead generation such a big topic now more than ever, and what are the sort of main challenges that you see on your side with guys trying to sort of generate leads online?
I think it's because consumers have changed a lot over the past even 5 years, go 10 years. We've gone away from the world now where people are just ready to buy something blind, we'll say. Now people want more and more information about who they're signing up with from a service provider. So they want to make sure that the providers that they are there with are people who align with understanding their own personal roadblocks or problems as a business. And a lot of it has come down to what you can do to have a partnership with them, to show the value behind what you do and the relationship building that exists for you. So when it comes to lead generation, it's about putting that forward to show the value of who you are long before the sale even comes into equation. So the two challenges that I look at with that are, one, standing out from the competition has become tougher, I feel. It's important now for businesses to become more and more niche. Sometimes in markets where they feel like they might not necessarily have that growth to stand out as a niche product, but it's really important that maybe their niche avenue is that value or understanding who their customer truly is and aligning with them. The other challenge is technology is growing fast. I think more than ever now, we're seeing all the softwares that we use just updating really, really regularly, and new features are coming out, and it's giving people opportunity to work with generating leads or work with their marketing strategies in ways never thought before, but can also be a lot of, how do I know I'm using the right technology, or how do I know I'm using this correctly or to its full potential before my competitors do?
Sure. And I think, obviously there's a lot of different marketing strategies, and especially in sort of the inbound and content world, that I guess are much longer term. So if we look at HubSpot as an example, obviously HubSpot aren't a company that just has a blog. There's a whole, I guess, the HubSpot Academy side of things, which is a completely free academy for anyone sort of to learn everything about inbound and content marketing. It's completely free, and like you say, is much more of sort of a long-term trust builder, awareness generator that doesn't necessarily work as a pure lead generator. Today we're going to look on the flip side of that and look at sort of what the quick wins are that you can do. So that we're not looking at what strategy you can put into place for the next 2 years perhaps, or 12 months from a content side, but what are the things that you can go away today and do, or you can build into your plan for the next week in order to perhaps hit a target for the end of the month or the end of this quarter. So to start off, what is a quick win, as you would describe it?
Yeah, because I get that a lot from my own customers. They often say, like, we want something quick, we want something really fast, but they are thinking, like you say, about that long-term vision. A quick win should be something that isn't like the technical weeds of something. It is more of this is something that we can implement straight away that gives us that boost towards our long-term goals. If you have the long-term strategy in place, the quick win is like the rocket ship that gets you off the ground, and then the ship continues on, and that's your long-term strategy. So what we are going to go through today with the conversation is about those things that get you started or get you moving, that can then feed into the long-term play that you might have.
Awesome. And so we're going to jump into sort of the 25 wins shortly. But I guess
Mm.
just to explain prior before we jump in, so they're split into a few sections. One being how do you sort of generate customers quickly,
Mhm.
which sounds very easy. That and everybody obviously wants that. But what are the things you can do? And then looking at specifically how you generate leads, how you generate new visitors,
Mhm.
and the help that we can hopefully provide today. Um, so if it's all right with you, Sean, we will jump into the 25 and I can let you run through those. Great. So let's start with number one.
Perfect. So, guys, I'm just going to jump straight into what I'd say with these is that these are the things that I've used for my own 4 years of experience, with my own customers and own clients to help them with this kind of strategy. I think it's really, really important that when we look at the customer side of things, it's about utilizing your own database that exists right now or your own current customers, even though that might seem a bit kind of taking a step back because we want new business, but your current business will be able to help you. The first thing that you really should do if you want a quick win strategy, and this might seem a little obvious, is get an email out. Like send an email out ASAP. It's really important that we start engaging with people that exist in our database already. If you're not doing it or you don't have a solid email campaign in place for your current database, put it in. It can be something along the lines of a very, I know we don't like to use the word funnel too much anymore, but a very bottom of the funnel type offer that you can push out there. Um, but if you want to help that build up, along with the email, we should be looking at using sales notifications for returning customers. So what I mean by that is if I take the HubSpot example, we would have the notification software built in, which allows your team to be aware that, hey, somebody's after coming back to the website that has already purchased from you. And no matter what your business is, if you have someone who is returning, say, to a homepage or say a pricing page, that's really important for me to want to know because that is something that I can jump on immediately and start engaging in a conversation with that person because they've come back for a reason. And if they've gone to a page like that, it's more likely that maybe they need additional services from you or there's something else that you offer that they can tie into what they currently have. If you don't do this, it's a huge missed opportunity. And it's by far one of the quickest things you can do to start building up that B2B lead generation strategy. We have a tool called Conversations. So think of this if you're not using the HubSpot suite, it's like a chat functionality on your website. Find your high value pages and start putting a software like this in place. We have come into a world where this is one of the biggest things that's happening now in the B2B world by having some sort of live chat or bot functionality built up to start those conversations. So find the pages that bring you the highest amount of traffic according to Google Analytics or whatever you might use, and start looking to install software like that onto these pages to start building out that conversation immediately. We should then look at building out a basic lead scoring system. If you haven't looked at lead scoring before, if you Google it, there is a lot of different strategies in place for what lead scoring can look like. But a strategy that I would talk about with this is what I call the radar research and revenue philosophy with this. So essentially what this means is your lead scoring strategy could be based on a score from 0 to 100. You first start off by building out what you want the desired positive behaviors of your visitors to be and the negative behaviors and attributes for visitors. A lot of people don't focus in on the negative side. We all like to look at the positives, I guess, in life. But in this kind of strategy, it's important that we have negative. So what I mean by behaviors and attributes is that we're looking at how do people interact with our content? What forms do they submit? What pages do they view? How frequently do they visit our website? What do they do with our emails? And also, what do we know about them? For example, on our forms on our pages, are we just asking them for their email address and their name? Or are we asking something that qualifies them a little bit more, such as what industry are you in? What is your job title? What are the pain points you're going through at the moment? We can take all that and put it as our positive attributes and also our negative attributes. Some of the common negative ones I've seen have been in a B2B world, using free email addresses as an example, someone who puts their profile down as someone that you're just never going to sell to, or as someone who's never likely to purchase, or they're based in a region that you just don't service at this time. Once you've built that up, then it's starting implementing the radar research revenue. So if I go by a scale of 1 to 100 as my lead scoring, once someone hits a score of 30, that's our radar stage. So the radar stage should be when someone has done enough that you as a marketer start sending them more qualified emails or start targeting content towards them that might move them along the line to becoming a customer. This could be, for example, pointing them towards downloadable content like a ebook or a white paper or something beyond the basic "this is my blog" type environment. The reason you're doing this is because you feel like that they are someone that could buy from you down the line, but they're not quite there yet. You're wanting to get more information for them or to see how much more they engage with your content. We then move into anyone when they get to a score of 60 to 89 as the research stage. So research is basically where your sales team get involved. This is you generating a marketing qualified lead. So you could use automation to say, hey, this person has now reached a score of 60. We're now marking them as an MQL. So sales, now you need to jump in. We call it research because this is where your sales team might not necessarily reach out to them immediately. They're going to do things like looking about the company they come from, sourcing them on LinkedIn, seeing what they can learn about them, but also analyzing the data that you've presented as a marketer. So you've said, this is the content they download. This is the things we know about them. We know they're based in this region. We know this is their job title. Everything that you need for your sales team to just be able to reach out to them then and go, hey, we think that we have something here that could help you based upon the content you downloaded or what you have experienced with us so far. Let's have a call or let's set up time for a meeting. From there, we move into revenue. So revenue is a score of 90 plus. Essentially, if you set this strategy up correctly, revenue is a closed won deal. It's very rare where someone would move into that 90 plus score and they are like still down the line. This should literally just be for you from a reporting standpoint and be able to show the impact that you as a marketer have had on the sales process by the amount of people who've reached this stage because they've either bought or they're just about to buy. Now, if I jump back onto my own notes as well, so we then move on to the lead scoring to a bottom of the funnel offer. Again, funnel's a dirty word now, but it's still important to look at it from this kind of perspective when it comes to a quick win strategy. For a bottom of the funnel offer, think of something that I can just send out straight away through that email that I mentioned earlier on. This could be something like a limited time, additional time with a CSM that we're offering. Or if you purchase 2 or more of our services, we're able to bundle them together as a quick offer. Just something that doesn't take a lot of time for you to have to create a whole bunch of content around that you can just ship out straight away to your current database or people who are that much further into your lead gen process. We go into point 7 then.
Sean, just to interrupt you quickly. Sorry, Sean. It's an interesting point around the both offers because I think, especially one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years is the thinking behind bottom of the funnel, and obviously, bottom of the funnel meaning that you're trying to get your leads to self-identify that they're sort of ready to buy and ready to, purchase or speak to sales immediately. And I think quite a lot of companies sort of fall into the trap of the only bottom of the funnel offer they have on their website would be like a contact us form.
Yep.
And I guess what are some perhaps examples of bottom of the funnel offers which aren't purely contact us forms that maybe HubSpot have used, but also perhaps other companies have used?
I think the big one that exists now is freemium. So anything that you can offer as a service to someone that there isn't a monetary cost associated with it. For HubSpot, this has been a big play for us over the last 12 months, where you've seen the launch of a lot of tools which cost nothing, but you still get a service value against it. And we would consider it a bottom of funnel offer, but it's also led to a lot of upsell into the install base and also a lot of people going on to purchase more products from us who start off in that range. So although I agree with you as well, it's like the instinct is normally to go, it's buy our service, buy our service. It
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily to be a monetary exchange. So think about what you can do that might not cost anything, but shows that really strong value or gets that direct touch with your clients. The freemium model is by far the most effective one that I've seen being used.
great.
Sweet. So if we then go into the point 6 here, which is retarget current customers, it kind of touches upon what I mentioned earlier on about going into your current install base. So if you followed this step by step, by now you would have something set up to make you be alerted of returning customers. So you should start looking at the returning customers that are there, but also the ones who exist right now that might not have purchased let's say, the full suite of content from you yet. Or there might be people there who are could do with additional services from you or could do with growth opportunities with you. By slicing through them, you're actually going to find yourself having a few different lead gen opportunities here. One, you have the ones of selling into install base, but two, you then have the opportunity to go into step 8, which is testimonials or case studies. So within HubSpot, case studies are like one of the biggest tools that we have ourselves. And I often try to encourage customers if they're looking for this, I need something quick, I need quick content that I can put out there that's going to start getting me leads from a bottom of funnel perspective. Testimonials are a phenomenal way of doing it. This is because consumers are looking more and more for trust, and they're looking more and more to hear from people who have used different services really well. So if you have that on your website, it's a great way of having content created that honestly doesn't take a huge amount of effort for you to build. The hardest point is getting someone to agree sometimes, say, yeah, we'll do a testimonial for you. But once you have that secured, you only need maybe 2 or 3, and you have a strong piece of content that you can start sharing out. And your sales team can utilize that brilliantly as well. Our sales team use testimonials the whole time to help them get people over the line.
Awesome. And Sean, just as we move on to the next section, I think just to finalize sort of the testimonial side of things, one of the, I guess, pushbacks we sometimes see from sort of customers around the testimonials is almost like a hesitation to ask their customers to say nice things about them. Just because there's perhaps a fear that they're of finding out that there might be something wrong or they're not happy. But I think from our experience, we always find that your customers usually are more than happy to sort of say nice things, whether it's written or sort of on video format.
Yeah, and we've also run into cases with those where we'd reach out to someone and they'd say, more than happy to give you a testimonial, but there is something that that is a pain point for me, or there is something that I feel like I want to let you know about. And if you find yourself in that situation, use it as an opportunity for growth for your own business as well. I know, for example, Halligan and Dharmesh and HubSpot, like they're very big into hearing about these kind of pain points. So when we've done testimonials and someone has said, 99% of the time, this is perfect. Here's the one thing that kind of bugs me. It's an opportunity for growth for yourself. It's an opportunity to get that direct feedback from the best person possible, your own customer, to how you can grow better.
And which is to generate new leads very quickly.
Yeah, of course. I need leads. I need leads now. It's the common sales problem, right? It's like, I need more leads. What do I do? A few of the tips that I'd say with this on a quick win strategy is, first and foremost, we call it lead flows here within HubSpot. This is, again, the kind of the chat functionality that might exist, like a pop-up form or something like this. I know a lot of people kind of view like pop-up forms as an example of something that makes them go, No, it's really irritating. Like I come onto a website and I get that little banner appearing. It darkens out the rest of my website. I immediately hit X. I don't even look at what it is. That's just an example of people misunderstanding how to use this kind of system effectively. Um, I've seen customers do this and do it brilliantly. It's about looking at when is it right for someone to actually see this pop up for them and how much is it disrupting why they came to the website. A perfect example of this is if someone is gone onto Google and they've researched, I'll use a HubSpot example of how do I redefine my sales process, or how do I make my sales process more efficient? And if I come onto a page like that, I don't immediately get this pop-up going, hey, we have this great software, sign up now and learn about it, because people will hit X. Instead, they still have their problem. That form isn't solving it straight away. So instead, they read through the content, and then once they reach a certain point, i.e., when they get the answer they're looking for, or we feel that this is where the answer lies, or they should get it, then we might have it as a slide into the left or right to go, if you want to learn more, here's this great ebook, or here's this webinar that we have on this. So look at what you can do for this to capitalize on adding more value. And that's what you should be looking at this kind of format to be. It will help you out massively, rather than being this something that's just annoying someone who's visiting your website. It kind of goes without saying with this, and I know some of this kind of seems a little bit obvious, but it works and it's good to highlight it. CTAs are always going to be your best friend. If you have a really high traffic page without a single CTA on it, you are missing out on leads. There is no two ways about that. And it can be so disappointing so many times where I speak to customers and we go through their analytics and we can see you have these pages that are getting so much traffic to them, but you're not presenting the opportunity for someone to convert. So you're getting all the traffic, make sure there's some avenue there, be it a CTA to a landing page or a form in itself, but there should be absolutely something there. So keep an eye on your traffic. Don't assume that you have it on the right pages, keep going through it. For point 11, review your forms. So this kind of comes back to something I mentioned earlier on, where I ask, what do you ask on your forms? If you have a form on your website that is not asking a question that helps you identify who somebody is or ties into your lead scoring strategy, it's a huge missed opportunity for capturing really strong leads. So review every form you have. If your form are just saying what's your name and email address, I challenge you to think of a third question. That question doesn't necessarily be invasive. I think we can all agree that we don't actually submit forms where the first thing we're asked is, what's your name, what's your email address, and what's your budget? Like, it's an immediate kind of turn off from us. We go, no, I know what you're doing. You're just trying to sell to me. But instead, ask them a question that isn't such a hard sell, but helps you identify who they might be. So this could be, for example, what region are you in? What is your job title? Or tell us, what is the biggest challenge you face today when it comes to your own role? Now, the one caveat I'd say with this is sometimes you get asked the question of, do I leave that as an open text, someone to fill in, or do I present the options to them? I say every time, present the options to them in this scenario. The greatest advice I ever got in my past marketing life before HubSpot was never let someone think when it comes to a form. The moment you give someone the opportunity to think, the moment they go, I'm not submitting this form, I'm gone. So every question you ask, make sure that you're almost holding their hand saying, we're asking you a question, but here are the answers. You just pick the one that's most relevant to you. I mentioned bots earlier on, which comes into point 12. Launch a bot. Bots may seem a bit scary. We always look at bots and going, how much technical knowledge do I need to actually launch a bot system? If I go to the HubSpot example of this, our own bot software is designed with that in mind. It is meant to be that you can go in without any technical knowledge really and build out a very, very effective bot system in place. The reason why I really push for bots as well is that we all have websites. Websites never sleep. So no matter what, if you just rely on a live chat system, you're just working when your team are actually online. But having a bot, you're working to when your customers are online. So it ensures that you never miss a lead and there is always something there. If you are at all cautious about the technical knowledge needed to launch a bot, I promise you, if you've ever installed a tracking code on any website, you can install a bot. You can build out the logic. It's very, very simple, and you will benefit from seeing much more leads coming in by launching a bot. For number 13, if you have really high performing blogs, or you have blogs that get a lot of traffic, or you have blogs that you feel like add a lot of worth, turn it into a content offer. Often I have people turn around to me and say that we want to build out a white paper. We want to build up an ebook, but that's going to take so much time for us to do. And we're unsure about what our next steps will be, or how do we carve out that time, especially if you're in a situation that you need like a lot of leads coming in and time is in your favor. I always say, do you have 5 blog posts about that topic? Yes, I do. Great. You have content then. Repurpose it, repackage it, and have it behind that form. Turn it into a content offer for someone to download. So if you feel like you want to start building up towards content like that, treat it as, I'm just going to do a series of blog posts, and if they perform really well, I'm going to turn them into content down the line. It's a great way to test out if something like this will work. But if you have blogs and you have stuff that's working really well in your blogs, turn it into a piece of content. If you then have this kind of system where you find you have a lot of blog posts performing really, really well all around a central topic, then I'd say look to making that into what we call a pillar page. Now, pillar pages, I feel like, are still a relatively new kind of concept or term thrown around when it comes to the B2B marketing world. If you're unfamiliar with it, the best example I can give you of what a pillar page would be is, think about if you're going on vacation, you're going on holiday, you go onto Google and let's say it's Dublin that you're looking to visit. You go into Google and you say, what's the transportation like in Dublin? Or what is there to do in Dublin? 9 times out of 10, the top 2 results that you're going to get are a Wikipedia page on culture in Dublin or transportation in Dublin. And beneath that is the Wikipedia page on Dublin. This is a very basic way of talking about how a pillar page strategy works. I have the main hub wiki page on Dublin, which if I go onto it, I pick that one first, for example. The transportation or cultural things in Dublin sections may just be like 2 or 3 paragraphs long, but on them I can click into the much wider article on, this is the great detail on transportation in Dublin or cultural history of Dublin. So the both pages sing to each other, and they help from an SEO credibility standpoint, in that the Dublin page, it's not just about transport, it's about all of Dublin. That has the history of Dublin, the origin of the name Dublin, transportation in Dublin, culture in Dublin, famous people from Dublin, everything that exists there. So I have hundreds of people coming to that one page, all searching for absolutely different things, but still brought to that one page. So that page gets a huge SEO boost, and all those other pages to go into more detail, because they're linked to it, they share that boost, they share that credibility, so they're more likely to start going up in your Google rankings. This is a pillar page strategy. So if you have content there, look to what you can do to make sure that they sing with one another and build out that strategy. After this webinar, I really recommend, if you want to learn more about this, by all means, go onto Google, talk to anyone involved around this space, and you'll learn an awful lot. Anyone that's implemented this strategy has seen a huge amount of benefit from doing it. It's very, very strong.
Just to sort of reinforce that, Sean, I think I saw a really interesting stat the other day. I think it was probably on HubSpot's website that I think nowadays the average first ranking page on Google. So obviously when we write blogs and when anyone writes blogs and content, you obviously want it to rank #1 on Google for your chosen keyword. Whereas I think the amount of words on that average #1 ranking page has grown dramatically, and I think it currently sits at just under 2,000 words for that first ranking page. So it shows how perhaps, a few years ago, you might have been able to write a blog post around quite a specific keyword, which might have been sort of 300-400 words that gave some quick tips and that sort of thing. Whereas now you need to, a pillar page being 2,000 words long, you need to sort of commit to creating content which is, super helpful, but is also long form and has lots of different links coming to and from it.
Yeah, and it ties into that Google cares a lot about the quality of the pages they're recommending. So a few years ago, I was guilty of this. I'm sure everyone in the room who's come from a marketing side of things has been guilty of this in the past. We don't do it now, but we'd have the whole thing of if we want to make sure a page got to the front page of Google as fast as possible, we would spam a keyword. We would just put it absolutely everywhere and keep referencing it because that's how we got found. But over time, Google changed it and went, well, no, it's not these short pages that just keep mentioning a series of words over and over again. We want to look at what the content actually is and what the value of that content really is. So that's what they're analyzing. And this is why we've been seeing this trend of the pages with more word count on them and more value against them. They're the ones that are more likely to increase in your rankings. Which I'm happy about. I'm sure everyone is that has been caught by going to Google and finding something that just doesn't answer a single question about what they had.
And I think the key today, Sean, so we're obviously talking about quick wins, because I think, if we're talking about building a £2,000 a 2,000 word web page, that's obviously not, you're not going to be able to just walk away today and create that. But I think your point number 14 is talking around how if you've got quite a lot of content around a specific topic, that is working really well, you can collate that all into one web page and create that pillar page from that existing content.
Exactly, because you're not really rewriting anything. You're just more taking what is already existing and making it just work together as a single page. I worked with a customer recently who is in the human resources space, and they created a really high performing pillar page in half a day just by going through their blogs and finding blogs that all were around the exact same topic and putting together as a pillar page. And they saw the benefit from it straight away. They started getting more traffic to their pages, but they started getting more people converting as well. That brings on to point 15 then. We can't just give everything out there and say like this is all, like the pillar page is very public, I can view it. We still need to have something that is a conversion point. So if you have really strong content that your customers have found value out of, you've put a lot of work into, put it behind a form as well. Make sure that you have that form of way of capturing that information. So find something that exists on your website right now that's really, really strong, put it behind a form. If you're at all cautious about it, you go, oh, but our customers see a lot of value from it, and they might submit a page after that, or they might do something after they read it. Trust me, run the experiment. Be the case where you take the content and make it a much smaller blog post, for example, and then it links into this, what you're now going to call an ebook. Because we often hear ebook and we think it has to be, a mini novel in itself. It doesn't necessarily need to be. It can be something that is short to read. So look at something like that and create a small ebook with it. And finally, number 16, start tracking video. If you're not doing video, you're missing out because your competitors are. Video has just become the way that people now want to consume content more than anything else. The big kind of hitting point I use for this is if you look at popular social media channels, everyone always thinks about when we're in a situation as a marketer of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. But in actual fact, like the second most visited one is YouTube. People want things consumed by video. That's just the way things are now. So if you're not using video, look to make that part of your long-term strategy. If you do have video, start looking at the usage. Start building out analytical data with it, because then you can see the opportunities to start capturing people more. Be it using technology like HubSpot that have a form appear during the video at a really strong moment when you have the highest engagement rates, to start capturing leads from there.
Great. So, Sean, we've covered how to win new customers and how to generate new leads. But if we, I suppose, speak about the funnel again, in order to get people on your website so that you can convert them and turn them into customers, you've got to get them on your website in the first place.
Yeah. So we need visitors at the end of the day with this. The visitor side for a quick win strategy is a lot smaller because I feel like a lot of it is just getting out and doing it. My top one here is like use your social networks. If you like, we should all, I hope everyone in the room is on Facebook or is on LinkedIn at the very least. But start going on to those networks and utilizing them more. They are a fantastic resource and they're a way of still engaging with people who clearly like your brand or want to engage with your brand, so engage with them. Even start doing things like, for example, in HubSpot, where I have the social stream functionality to start looking through what people are talking about on Twitter. So start using Twitter as that kind of avenue to jump into conversations with people. In my own past world, as a marketer in the tourism sector, I decided to do a quick win strategy based on Twitter, where I was just looking to target people talking about visiting Dublin. And I would jump into the conversation, not going, hey, come visit our museum. Instead, I would jump in and go, hey, here's a guide we've actually created on getting around Dublin, and just getting myself into that conversation. It's not a push for me saying, come visit us, but now they're aware that we exist because we engage with them on a social network. And it ended up that they would buy tickets from us in the end, 9 times out of 10, which is always good. I would say create lookalike audiences as well from your current customers. This ties into the persona strategy. So if you, for example, don't have a persona built out, use your current customer database to build out the persona, but also start looking at similar audiences that might exist based upon who you have. So for example, if you found that we have a lot of business that's coming from this kind of industry or this particular type of role, but doesn't tie into our persona, great. Flesh it out, start looking into investigating that a little bit more so you can see how your content sings to that type of person or audience. For number 19, get budget for PPC or paid social. If you are not doing this, I hate to be blunt, you're not going to succeed. We live in a world now, as much as we go, it's content, content, content. We need that push. Your competitors are doing it. You should absolutely be doing it. We were so bold. I remember it might not have been inbound last year, but the year before, one of the keynote speakers said those exact words, that if you don't have budget for PPC, you have a long road ahead of you. We might not like it. We might not feel like it goes against it. It's what you need to do, and it is going to make you stand out, and it's going to help you get more people to your site ASAP. It should be the kind of strategy you put in place to get that kind of quick boost. So again, it falls into the quicker inside of things because it shouldn't be your long-term strategy to be, we're going to rely solely on pay-per-click advertising. Use it as the boost, and then look to see what we can do over time to start reducing the amount we need to spend on it as our organic traffic goes or as our content starts performing better for us. Finally, if you need visitors, repurpose content. HubSpot does this all the time, and a lot of people seem surprised by that because if you go onto our blogs, it looks like we're pumping out content in massive numbers on a daily basis. But a lot of what we're actually pumping out is going to old content, re-changing some of the wording of it or making it more relevant to businesses today or who we're talking to today, and then repurposing it. You have the good side of that being like, it's already proven content. It's already been proven to engage with people previously, and it already has a lot of credibility behind it from an SEO standpoint. So by repurposing it, you have something that's really, really strong there that is going to perform and is going to attract visitors that are more up to date with who you're trying to speak to today. And on that, reach out to thought leaders. If you want visitors badly, the absolute golden ticket when it comes to SEO, in my opinion, is getting backlinks from other websites. And Google agrees with that. If you have a page where your website starts getting referenced on other platforms that are linking to you, you're sharing that SEO credibility. So start reaching out to people in the same field as you. Start reaching out to people in the same industry. Ask them, this is what we're building up. This is a topic we're looking to go into. Could we do a guest blog post? Could we do a feature together? Could we put out a piece of content that we can both share so that we can both get the benefit from this? You will get a huge boost if this works really, really well. Using this kind of strategy is very quick. The only thing you really need with it is the time to reach out to thought leaders. It shouldn't take you long though. And you should only maybe have 4 or 5 realistically that you are going to reach out to. And if one of them comes back to you, you might have the content already existing. You might be repurposing some of your own content then as well.
Awesome. And I think, Sean, just to revisit number 20 in terms of the repurposing content, I guess in terms of a quick win, I think personally this is something that I've seen that, at the B2B Marketing Lab we've had some great success with. And just to, I guess, to plug an example, if I may, we had a blog which was basically what is a buyer persona, was the title of it, that we posted, I think it was around 2.5 years ago now. When we first posted the blog, obviously we got quite a big drive on social and that sort of thing, and saw an initial spike in terms of the views and the CTA clicks that that blog received. And then obviously over time, the sort of the traffic from social and from email and that sort of thing had died down. But a few months later, we noticed that there was a small, albeit small, but frequent amount of traffic that the blog was generating from organic. Doing a little bit of research into this, we realized that it was ranking, I think it was about maybe 9 or 10 on Google's on Google for the term "what is a buyer persona." So we had quite a big focus on, right, what can we do to this blog to improve it, to basically push it up that rankings. Obviously, Google likes new content, so every time you sort of update a page and publish it again, Google sees it as new and fresh content. We looked at that blog. We extended the blog from, I think it was around 400 words to pushing about 1,000 words. We also included a video at the top of the blog, which was literally one of our employees, Jess, sort of rehashing and reading the blog out loud in video format. And that blog now is now sort of the second, I think, only behind HubSpot. The guys are always trying to beat to that #1 spot. But when you search "what is a buyer persona," would sort of rank second, and the amount of views that blog gets from organic is absolutely sky high. And the quick win there was just being able to take the blog that already existed, already was live on the website, spend maybe 2 hours updating it, putting some more content in, and then another 30 minutes to an hour putting a video on it. And the results that has driven is we've seen a lot of benefit from that.
Mm. And it makes so much sense. Even from a HubSpot perspective, the content that we've gotten to get that performance the best first is sometimes our oldest content that we are repurposing all the time, and also content that we find starts getting linked across other websites as well. So we've done it. We've reached out to thought leaders. We've reached out to other people and said, hey, this is something that we could collaborate on. And the SEO boost has been massive for us. So I agree. I actually think of all the steps that are here. Although I would put getting budget for PPC as being like one of the top conversations you absolutely should have when it comes to your content. This is key. If you only do one thing from the webinar, this is one that I really say, well, you should get a benefit from.
Great. So Sean, let's just move on to the last few points.
Of course. So I need help. You've all kind of made, like, if you're in the webinar here as well, or you're watching this, it's kind of like going, well, I want to do well on this, and I want to be able to succeed in this kind of environment. So it's really important that you reach out, or you look at what you can do to educate yourself more, or to get assistance where possible. If you don't, you're just going to have a rough time with this. My #1 thing is to get certified. So this is if you go into the HubSpot Academy, we have a whole range of certifications to cover so many different aspects of inbound. I'd find a certification there that ties into your role or what you want to succeed on, be it the inbound marketing certification, the inbound sales certification, the growth-driven design certification, whatever it is. Take those courses. They're excellent. They're a phenomenal resource. Of course, I might seem slightly biased. I work in HubSpot, but I think they are some of the best education pieces out there when it comes to inbound. So by all means, go onto the pages, find the certifications, and start doing them. They've been refined more now, and in an old world, they were much more, how do I say, time-consuming, I guess. You go in and it felt like a big investment, but now they're done on thought tracks. So you can go in and pick the track that makes sense for yourself. So if I have an hour, I'll dedicate it to upskilling on this, learning more about this. For the next bit of your help, create meeting links. So this is a tool in HubSpot on the sales side called Meetings, where you can create your own link to your own calendar. And I would start as you're doing outreach to people. Not like we think of it a lot from a sales perspective, but if you want to set up time with people to learn more about this, create your meeting link and email people going, hey, look, I noticed that you do a really great job with this, or I'm curious about how you went about with this type of strategy. Please book time with me. And I'd love to hear from you. So that way you're not doing a lot of you're wasting time and going, should we meet on Monday? I'm not free on Monday. I'm free at 3. I'm not free at 3. You put the power in their hand where they can just go, yeah, I'll book time with you there and then, done. Nice and easy. Connector integrations is the next bit I'd say here. If you If you want to really excel with all this, it's important that every piece of software you have all speaks to each other. We've all felt the pain of when we don't connect software together and we start doing exports and imports and data gets missing and data doesn't match and one team is confused about what this actually is or what this means. So I would honestly say if you really want to excel with a good strategy in place, take a step back, look at every piece of software you use and identify for you and for your customers where there are gaps between the software syncing to each other. Because if there's a gap that you notice, even though you might not initially think of the customer, you might think of just yourself or the lead. Sorry, you're not thinking the lead, you're just thinking for yourself with this. If there's something that causes a pain point for you, that's going to end up going to affect your lead process. So look through it, find where things aren't syncing together. Number 24 is if you've anything that takes a lot of time to explain or there's activities that just don't make sense right now or just too complicated, what can you do to make them less complicated? I can talk from a HubSpot perspective for this. One of the things that all of our teams have been challenged on, if you would have seen an inbound last year, we launched a thing called the customer code. And one of them is trying to make these processes as simple as possible so our customers feel the benefit of it by making things simple. So we've been looking at absolutely everything we have to make sure that it is nice and smooth so that our kind of customers feel the benefit from doing that. So if you've anything that is a bit complicated, that might delay processes, that could cause a delay in you getting a customer. That could delay someone being identified as a lead. So see what you can do to simplify it. Last but not least, I'd say connect, be it with a thought leader, be it with the lads at B2B or be it with ourselves in HubSpot. By all means, reach out, talk to someone, have these conversations. If you're already a HubSpot customer, utilize HubSpot tech support, utilize your CSM, connect with someone. They'd be more than happy to talk to you about this kind of strategy. And I feel like the people who succeed the best in this environment are the ones who do reach out for help, as opposed to the ones who tried to do it themselves and fail and are not sure what they need to do next.
Sean, that was great. Thank you very much for that. I think obviously, I guess in terms of there's 25 things that people can go away and try and implement today. I think obviously, if anyone can take one or two of those away today and implement them and do those today or this week, then I think, I think we've hopefully done a good job and you've hopefully enjoyed the video here. As Sean said, I think his sort of number one is go away and try and get some money to put into sort of PPC and paid media to really be able to sort of target specific personas and specific new people to drive to your website and to convert. I think from my side, it's probably on the content side of things and making sure that you're reusing and making the most of all the content that you've got. I think particularly marketers today spend a lot of time creating content, but perhaps don't make the most of it. So, if you go away and create an ebook, you can quite easily split ebooks into 5 or 6 blogs, into lots of social media posts, maybe some images for LinkedIn, turn it into a video, turn it into a podcast. There's a lot of different things you can do. But Sean, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate you've been doing a lot of traveling recently. So I'll let you get back to your inbox and your day to day.
Yeah, it feels like this is the last day of the Sean Reid speaking tour at this stage.
I think that's a good sign off.
Thanks so much for having me. And I said anyone listening as well, by all means, we're always here to have these kind of conversations, always have these chats. So reach out, don't be strangers.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. And thanks everyone for joining.